It is not unheard of for different tribes and cultures to be at loggerhead. From history, we have witnessed the Hutus and Tutsi strife of Rwanda, the Zulus and Pondos strife of South Africa, and the conflict between the Hausa and Igbo tribes in Nigeria. History is laced with different types of conflicts, and some of these conflicts have led to all-out wars. So in this video, we will be taking a look at the Hausa and Igbo tribes of Nigeria. The Hausa tribe, or the Hausas, are the largest ethnic group in West Africa with a population of over 50 million people. They speak the Hausa language, which is the second most spoken language after Arabic in the Afro-Asiatic language family. But there are people of diverse cultural practices with similar homogeneous beliefs and customs that are exclusively found among their people. The Hausa states are also known as the Hausa Land, and they are independent political entities found by the Hausa people and situated between the river Niger and Lake Chad. Up until the mid-14th century, Hausa Land was an isolated political entity with no central authority. But regardless of their placements, the Hausa people had a common language, laws, and customs. They were known to specialize in hunting, fishing, blacksmithing, agriculture, and salt mining. In the 1500s, the northern city of Kano was a major trading center in ivory, gold, salt, cloth, leather, and grains, and they became very popular. However, the Hausa people were regarded as loose alliances by neighboring towns because they lacked military expertise and did not have a central governing body. As a result, they were prone to external domination. By the 14th century, Islam was introduced to the Hausa by Wangara scholars, traders from Mali and Maghreb. Many of the Hausa people embraced it immediately in hopes of enhancing their businesses. The Hausa became one of Africa's major trading powers. They were merchants who exported leather, gold, cloth, salt, kola nuts, slaves, animal hides, and henna. But between 1804 and 1815, Islamic scholar Usman Dan Fodio conquered all the independent states in a holy jihad war which created the Sokoto Caliphate. The British later abolished it in 1903 and named the area Northern Nigeria. The Igbo or Igbo people are an ethnic group in Nigeria and are found in southeastern Nigeria. The area is divided by the Niger River into two unequal sections, the eastern region and the midwestern region. They are primarily found in Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo states. However, a good number of Igbo people can also be found in Delta and River states. The Igbo Tribe is one of the largest ethnic groups in Africa, with a population of over 35 million people. Before the British colonial rule, the Igbo people were politically fragmented by the centralized chiefdoms. The political system differed from most of its West African neighbors. They had a traditional republican system of government, which was a consultative assembly of people and helped to ensure equality for citizens. This was different because they did not have the usual form of government with a king ruling over the subjects, but they had title holders who were respected because of their achievements. However, they were never revered as kings. Their job in society was to perform special functions assigned to them by the assemblies, but they were not to make laws or dictate policy, since they had no judicial authority. The Igbo people settled law matters by taking an oath to a god, and if the person died within the stipulated time, he was guilty. But if he did not, he was innocent and free to go. In the 1870s, the British arrived and their presence increased the encounters between the Igbo and other Nigerians, which led to a deepening sense of a distinct Igbo ethnic identity. And as the British colonial rule continued, the diversity within Nigeria's major ethnic groups decreased, making the distinction between Igbo and other ethnic groups clearer. From the beginning, Igbos were mostly farmers, craftsmen, and traders. Also, before the massive missionary presence in Nigeria, Igbos practiced their traditional Igbo religion where they worship gods and deities. But now, the majority of Igbos are Christians, particularly Roman Catholics. The conflict between the Hausas and the Igbo began barely 6 years after Nigeria had gained independence from Britain in 1960. The incident happened in the form of a coup d'etat after a group of young Igbo officers killed the top politicians and senior army officers who were majorly made up of Northerners, because the Northerners were the majority in the government and military at the time. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was the first Prime Minister of Nigeria. He was a Northerner and the co-founder of the Northern People's Congress. Under his leadership, Northern men were favored by the military because they were described as the hard martial races, while people from the South and West were seen as too soft to make good soldiers. The Northerners were clearly dominating the political system and their style of governance was considered corrupt. This put pressure on the army to take action against the government. And so, because Tafawa Balewa was allegedly plundering the oil wealth of the Southeast, a group of Igbo officers planned a coup to overthrow the government. The Igbo officers, namely Major Chukwuma Kaduna Nziogu, Major Emmanuel Efiejuna, and other junior army officers, attempted a coup and killed Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Ahmadu Bello, who was the Sarduna of Sokoto, and a handful of other top government officials. Aside from the killing of the northern political leaders, the premier of the western region, Ladoke Ankitola, and other Yoruba senior military officers were also killed. The coup was aptly named the Coup of the Five Majors. Although the coup was carried out with the goal of dismantling the northern-dominated power structure, their plans to take over were unsuccessful. General Agui Ironsi, who happened to be Igbo and low-list head of the Nigerian army, extinguished the coup's operations in the south. He assumed power and was declared head of state, and he established a military government which he led as a supreme commander. At this point, the Hausas harbored the fear that the Igbos had an agenda to take control of the country, and so in retaliation, northern officers carried out a counter-coup in July 1966, where 240 southern members of the army were killed. About 3/4 of them were Igbos, including thousands of civilians who were from the south but lived in the north. The counter-coup led to the killing of General Agui Ironsi along with Adekule Fayui. Moreover, one thing that fueled the anger of the northerners was the fact that Agui Ironsi attempted to abolish regionalization in favor of a unitary system of government. Unfortunately, the northerners took it as a plot for Ironsi to establish Igbo domination in the country. The outcome of the counter-coup led to the inauguration of Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon as Supreme Commander of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Interestingly, Gowon was chosen as a midpoint candidate. He was a northerner, a Christian from a minority tribe, and had a favorable reputation within the army. Gowon had to put out so many fires as he received succession threats from the eastern, northern, and southern regions. He may have put out the fire on the front line, but the fight was far from over. In the background, the ethnic rivalry between Hausas and Igbos increased, and it led to further killings. The killings were widely spread in the north, and they were carried out by the Nigerian army. Incidentally, just before the massacre in the north began, Lieutenant Colonel Gowon was heard on the radio guaranteeing the safety of all Easterners and all citizens of the country. But sadly, the power of the military was supreme and the intent was to kill. From May all the way to October 1966, the killings in the north took an estimated 8,000 to 30,000 Igbo people. Half of the victims were children, and more than 2 million Igbos had to flee for their lives to the eastern region. By the time the massacre ended, virtually all Igbos living in the north were dead. Those who had managed to survive were being hidden by sympathetic northerners or had to run back to the east. In retaliation, northern Nigerians were also targeted in the east. They killed thousands of Hausas, Tiv, and other northern tribes. This also forced a massive number of northerners to flee the east. Sadly, many non-Igbo eastern minorities and Midwesterners in the north were killed as well because there's no way to differentiate them from Igbos in their presence. The Hausa-Igbo conflict led to the Biafra War, which was Nigeria's civil war. It was 3 long years of killings, torture, and oppression. After the pogrom from both tribes, the Igbos believed that Nigeria's oppressive military system would hinder them from growing or even surviving. So in a bid to preserve themselves, Lieutenant Colonel Odumegwu Ojukwu, the other non-Igbo representatives, established the Republic of Biafra. The Nigerian government was not in support of the secession, and they tried diplomatic efforts in uniting the country. And when they failed to reunite the country, a war between Nigeria and Biafra broke out in 1967. Ojukwu and the Biafran troops made some advances, but the Nigerian forces supported by the British had superior military strength and launched a full-scale invasion. They surrounded and overpowered Biafra with aerial and artillery bombardment, which led to the loss of millions of lives. The Nigerian Navy also used the starvation method to weaken and tire them out, as they set up a sea blockade that prohibited food, medical supplies, and weapons to the Biafran soldiers and citizens. The independent state of Biafra stood its ground for a while, but in January 1970, Biafra surrendered after its military commander, General Odumegwu Ojukwu, fled to Ivory Coast. During this civil war, it was estimated that up to 1 million people died because of the conflict, but most of them as a result of hunger and disease imposed intentionally through the blockade that was on throughout the war. In recent times, the Hausas and Igbos have had cause to go weapon to weapon against each other, as incidents between a Hausa person and an Igbo person have led to uproars and could cause a spark at any time. Currently, there is no all-out war, but it is undeniable that tensions are still high, and a minor incident between the two tribes could lead to a nationwide crisis. Also, with the scattered clashes and the Boko Haram insurgency, many Igbo people are once again calling for Biafra. And with that, we have come to the end of this video. For more videos like this, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notification so you never miss an upload. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you guys in the next video.